Moving on, healthcare-focused private equity firm Quadria Capital has made an investment of 850 crore rupees in dialysis service network NephroPlus. Now, through this transaction, Quadria will acquire a significant minority stake through a combination of a primary investment and the purchase of shares from existing shareholders. To tell us how the transaction will support NephroPlus in providing high-quality, affordable dialysis services across Asia, joining me now are Sunil Thakur, partner and head of South Asia at Quadria Capital, and Vikram, Vuppala, founder and CEO of NephroPlus. Gentlemen, welcome to Startup Street. And Sunil, let me first start with you. This investment of 850 crore rupees, I believe, is the largest ever in the Indian nephrology sector. So first, tell us what made you bet big on NephroPlus. What is the impact you believe it can create?
First of all, thank you for having us over. The primary reason of making this investment was twofold. First and foremost was the segment and the disease that we are addressing, and secondly, the way NephroPlus is addressing this humongous challenge and problem that we have. To just shed some light on what we are dealing with in terms of the disease that is being addressed by NephroPlus, we're talking about chronic kidney disease. India has a disproportionate number of patients that are suffering from this disease. If I have to talk about just the numbers, we're talking about roughly around 120 million people suffering from this disease. Now, this size and scale is, we're talking about the size of Japan and Philippines as a country. And within that, we have about roughly around 1 billion people going for dialysis program each year. And we're adding roughly around 2 lakh to this number each year. So that's sort of the proportion of people suffering from the disease that we are talking about. So it has taken the shape and form of a public disease program. Now, when it comes to how it's being addressed by a company like NephroPlus, NephroPlus is a uniquely positioned company in terms of how it's doing it. It's a category creator in some sense and a leader. And the way it has been successful in addressing this is because of its cost leadership, the way it has been addressing this at a scale, which sort of dovetails again into the cost leadership, offering a gold-class clinical output, having a very attractive delivery model that's sort of scaled using a very template base that can be adopted not only in India but other emerging markets. So we see a huge growth opportunity in the segment, and we see the capability of NephroPlus to address this challenge in India and outside.
All right. Thank you so much, Sunil, for taking us through the pain point that NephroPlus is solving. Vikram, let me quickly come to you. This marks your Series F fundraise, and I understand this will support your growth in India and across Asia. So first, talk to us about NephroPlus' current reach and business growth numbers, and then if you could elaborate on the kind of growth you envision with the backing of Quadria.
Sure. Thank you, firstly, CNBC, for having me. We currently operate about 450 clinics across 250 cities in 4 countries. Other than India, we are operating in Nepal, Philippines, and Uzbekistan. And we just are about to launch our first clinic in Saudi Arabia in the next 30 days. So that's the current reach. We serve about 30,000 patients across this network. And the intent is to continue to grow. We have been growing historically at a CAGR of 25%. And with the Quadria's backing, we'll continue to accelerate that. And Quadria is quite strong in Southeast Asian markets, which is quite attractive for us to partner with Quadria, and hoping that we'll be able to launch in some of these Southeast Asian markets.
Okay. Sunil, coming back to you, in January this year, you announced that Quadria Capital will invest $1.5 billion in healthcare in the South and Southeast Asian countries over the next 3 years. And of this, 50% will be invested in India. So tell us, how many more companies are you looking to invest in by the end of this year, and what will be the ticket size?
So difficult to give a figure for our deployment by end of the year, but just to give you a perspective over the course of next 12 to 15 months, we will be looking to deploy additional $400 to $500 million, and this would be across hospitals, diagnostic companies, pharma, medical devices, health insurance, consumer healthcare. And our ticket size generally sort of varies from anywhere from $70-80 million all the way up to $150 to $200 million.
Okay, coming back to Vikram. Vikram, like you mentioned earlier, NephroPlus operates across 450 centers in 250 plus cities across 4 countries. You're also performing over 3 million dialysis sessions each year. If you could take me through your public-private partnerships with hospitals, clinics, nephrologists, what kind of a revenue model have you devised with them?
Sure. So we operate in 2 different segments. One is the private side, which constitutes partnering with private hospitals and doing our own standalone dialysis centers. Then the second segment we operate is on the public side. The public side operates in the public-private partnership model, where we have partnered so far with 4 states in India, where it's a government contract which comes for tendering. And we, along with the competition, we bid for it and we win on a certain price per treatment modality. On the private side, going back, it's a revenue share model with the hospital, wherein for every dialysis treatment, we share a percentage of revenue in lieu of them offering a space and utilities.
Okay, also very quickly, Vikram, if you could, answer this. You have a track record of growing via bolt-on acquisitions. Are there more acquisitions in the pipeline? Where do you see growth opportunities and how do you plan to expand your market leadership?
Yeah, in general, we are conservative on acquisitions. We have done 3 major acquisitions in the last 10 years. Again, 70% of the acquisitions fail. So we are quite particular around the integration risk. We are quite particular about the return on investment in large ticket acquisitions. But we are currently considering few acquisitions in India and several more in the overseas markets from a market entry strategy perspective.
All right, Sunil, one final question to you, and if you could answer that quickly. Post-COVID, healthcare deals have happened at a frantic pace. It is believed that over the next 10 to 15 years, India's expenditure towards healthcare is going to increase multifold. There's a lot of favorable investment climate in which traditional and conventional bankers and private equity will play a big role in shaping up the future of medicine in India. Your thoughts quickly.
No, absolutely. There's humongous opportunity that we see in the country. We're talking about investments of up to $250 billion, not only 10 to 15 years, but in the near term, 4 to 5 years. And 70% of that investment has to come from private sector. And private equity is a very important part of private capital today. On the other hand, you're seeing government increasing its expenditure, trying to get to 2.5% of the GDP from a 1.7, 1.8%. So we see, the right sort of ingredients and the variables coming together to make it an exciting proposition for private equity investment funds like us.
All right. On that note, it's time for us to wrap up this conversation. Sunil and Vikram, many thanks for joining us on Startup Street today. Wish you both the very best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.